is Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, and it has come down to this. The winner of tonight's game will move on to the National League Championship Series, and for the loser, their season is over. It is the deciding game of the NLDS Best of 5 between the underdog St. Louis Cardinals and the Philadelphia Phillies. And welcome everyone to Philadelphia. I'm Dick Stockton, and this game would stand on its own. However, we have a unique situation tonight because we have a classic matchup on the mound. In Chris Carpenter and Roy Halladay, two of the premier pitchers of the game who have been very close friends for the last decade and are facing each other for the first time in their career. And as the situation would dictate, we have two former hurlers with us, Ron Darling and John Smoltz. John, your thoughts?
Well, never has there been more pressure on a city than a team that has been built to win the World Series. And if they're going to continue, they pin their hopes on Doc Halladay. And I like their chances when you bring out the arguably best pitcher in baseball. Look what he did game one. Had a little bit of hiccups early with the 3 runs, but then settled down nicely and retired 21 straight. And for the other side, Carpenter, a team that's playing very loose, a miracle finish. They pin the hopes on Carpenter, and you know that the St. Louis Cardinals like their chances. Both teams have their aces going for them. Should be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
And Ron, what's your take?
Well, when you think about it, John and I did a Game 5 at Yankee Stadium yesterday, and you knew the bullpen was going to get most of the big outs. They started 2 young starters. That's not going to happen here. There's no one in the bullpen that's any better than these 2 starters, and you can see their career just outstanding. Tony La Russa, since the Cardinals stole Game 2, has been waiting for this redemption for Carpenter in Game 5. Well, he's got it.
All right, so the stage is set, and not to take a back seat are the sluggers. Ryan Howard looking to get on track, and Albert Pujols of the Cardinals. 60 degrees as the game gets underway as the Phillies take the field, and tonight's batting order brought to you by Autotrader.com. For the Cardinals, Rafael Furcal will be at shortstop. Skip Schumacher will be in center field batting second. Albert Pujols hitting third at first base. Lance Berkman will be in right field. Matt Holliday is in left. Yadier Molina behind the plate. David Freese at third base. Making his first start in the series is Nick Punto. He'll be at second base. And Chris Carpenter batting ninth, the pitcher, facing Roy Halladay, making his second start, and was the Game 1 pitcher for the Phillies.
Well, these guys, when they get ready for a game, any game, every game's like a playoff game. They're very serious. They don't talk to anybody. They're into their mode. They're in the tunnel. And every pitcher in a game like this just wants to get into the flow. And sometimes it takes a little longer, Ron, to get into the flow. But if you can get into it right away, then it's just baseball as normal.
What did Charlie Manuel say before the game? He said, what do you do to get Roy ready for these games? He goes, I say hello, and that's it.
And very few people expected the Cardinals, first of all, to get into these playoffs, and second of all, to extend a team that had their franchise year with 102 wins, John, to be extended to 5 games.
Absolutely, and you're in a place right now with one of the greatest home field advantage. You want to keep your fans as into the game as possible. Be careful with Rafael Furcal on the first pitch. He's been known to try and jump that pitcher's fastball, but Doc Halladay has all of these kind of reports in his back pocket.
Rafael Furcal stepping in, and the rally towels are out in force here in Philadelphia. Furcal had a first inning single and a stolen base against Halladay in game number 1. 1-0 the count. Switch hitting Furcal, 1 for his last 11. Acquired from the Dodgers, battled hamstring problems at the end of the year. 1-1. Furcal will be followed by Schumacher and Pujols. 2-1.
Well, the players aren't the only ones that have pressure. The home plate umpire with these 2 great pitchers, he's going to make it awfully difficult because they normally hit their spots. And we'll see what kind of game Gary is behind the plate.
And there's a drive hit to right center field. Victorino chases it, and it's over his head and off the wall. Furcal rounding second and heading for third as the ball gets loose in the outfield, and a lot closer than expected with the ball getting loose. And Rafael Furcal with a leadoff triple to start the game.
It doesn't matter if a Cy Young's on the mound. If you get behind these hitters, 2-1 count, they are going to tee off. Little fastball up in the strike zone by Halladay, over the head of Gold Glover Victorino in center field. And by the time he picks it up, he misses the cutoff man. It bounces on nothing. So by the time Rollins gets it, a slide and a triple.
And Skip Schumacher, who is 5 for 8, hitting .625 in this series, looks at a breaking ball on the outside corner for a strike.
Here's a situation right here that you don't wait for anybody else to get the job done. You get the ball on the ground somewhere, get the run in, get your team ahead. Don't rely on anybody else to do the job. Because what Doc Halladay is really good at, he can get 3 outs before that runner scores just as easy.
They always talk about him working the outside 3 inches of each corner of the plate. When guys are on base, it's the last inch of each corner of the plate.
Just getting a piece of it is Schumacher. Interesting that in that game 1, he led off the second inning with a single before Halladay retired 21 in a row. And there's Pujols on deck.
If you're going to get Doc, it has to be early.
Cardinals took the season series from the Phillies 6-3. Although, as Charlie Manuel points out, the last 3 occurred after the Phillies had clinched the division. Just missed outside. 1-2.
Boy, good pitch there, John. You see Ruiz behind the plate. Lots of movement. Might have taken that away.
And a good at-bat for Skip Schumacher here.
Already the Cardinals have worked the count with Furcal to get the 2-1, and Schumacher now has fouled off 4 real difficult pitches.
The one thing as a hitter here, you give up of yourself with any thought of getting a hit with 2 strikes. Put it in play, cut down your swing, and the Cardinals will be leading 1-0.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. And the target was outside the strike zone, and that's where the pitch went, hoping that Schumacher would chase it, and it's 2-2. Pujols on deck and Lance Berkman to follow. And another foul ball.
I think if you're Gary Cederstrom, the home plate umpire, you can't be enticed or intoxicated by the greatness of both these pitchers. You want to call strikes. You know they can make the pitches, but you have to make sure they're on the corners. Make it fair for both teams.
And the ball hit off to the right, foul. Speaking of the umpires, Gary Cederstrom calling balls and strikes. Chad Fairchild is the umpire at first. Chris Guccione at second. Jerry Meals at third. Crew chief Jerry Lane down the left field line. And Angel Hernandez is the umpire down the right field line. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Schumacher for a call with a leadoff triple. The 10th pitch of the at-bat, and a line drive down the right field line, and it is a fair ball into the corner. Furcal will score, and Schumacher will go into second with a double. So a pair of extra base hits, and the Cardinals have taken a 1-0 lead.
Well, what you have here is the hitter fouls off every great pitch that Halladay threw, and the one bad pitch that he could hit, he took advantage of it, a hanging curveball over the middle of the plate. These are the kind of things early on. I talked about getting into the flow. Well, now Doc's going to have to be pressed into that flow of being perfect for most of the rest of this inning and the game.
And here's Albert Pujols, who's had a big series average-wise, and he fouls off the first pitch. Pujols had a 4-hit game in which he had 3 doubles, but he has had only 1 run batted in and a chance to give the Cardinals another run with Schumacher in scoring position. And he gets jammed in a pop-up that Utley goes to third. And out at third base is Schumacher. An alert play by Chase Utley on a ball that had a lot of English run. And he managed to get Schumacher at third, a big first out for the Phillies.
Well, the problem here is Pujols gets jammed, but bad read by Schumacher off the bat. You can see Pujols saying, leave, go. That ball's going to drop in. Utley playing on the grass. He's not going to get to it. Schumacher's got to get to third base. Alert by Utley. And Utley, who was caught at third earlier in the season, catches someone else.
Yes, in the last game, Albert Pujols came off the bag and nailed him going to third when he was running on a ground ball. So there's one away, and now Pujols the base runner at first.
Well, there's these type of points in the game you hope don't come back to haunt you. They're 1 for 1. One good job getting the runner in, one job of not getting the good jump you need to create more pressure for the Phillies. This Phillies team is one of those teams where you've got to create pressure on the pitcher, and that was one thing that let him off the hook.
Lance Berkman, who hit a 3-run homer off of Halladay in the first inning of Game 1, has 4 runs batted in, and in fact 2 homers against Halladay in the last month. And the ball getting away from Carlos Ruiz, and Pujols will move down to second base.
Boy, these are things you just don't see happen to the Phillies early in the Halladay start. A couple of mistakes with breaking balls for base hits, extra base hits, and a ball eluding Ruiz, the catcher, who's one of the best in the game.
A wild pitch has been charged to Roy Halladay. So the Cardinals with their third runner in scoring position here in the first inning. Count is 1-1 to Lance Berkman. 1-2, and this was the home run in the first inning that gave the Cardinals a 3-0 lead, stunning this crowd. And the Phillies came back and won.
You know, Tony La Russa talked about Berkman, saying he's such a pro. He's just one of those guys that is ready to hit the first pitch, but he also has great plate recognition.
Next pitch will be the 20th here in the top of the first. Two balls, 2 strikes to Berkman with Matt Halladay on deck. Fouling it off, and the count remains 2-2 with Lance Berkman talking about what a pitcher has. He says, and now they're saying he was hit by the pitch. Catcher's interference.
Yep. Sometimes you cannot blame the catcher for catcher's interference. What happens is that the hitter will swing so late. That's what happened to Berkman. He is fooled by the pitch, swings so late that he swings right down on the glove of Ruiz, causing this catcher's interference, just catching the tip of his glove.
Charlie Manuel out to get the ruling from Gary Cederstrom, and it was clear that the glove was out there and the bat hit it, so now the runners are at first and second.
I've always hated that rule because if you're rewarded for swinging poorly.
So Matt Halladay, who made his first start in Game 4, stepping in and taking ball 1. So for Roy Halladay, a struggle so far in this first inning.
Well, what the Cardinals have done a good job is spoiled every really tough pitch he's thrown. And when you face Doc Halladay, that's exactly what you have to do. Easier said than done. And one thing in a game like this, when you have hitters that are patient and don't speed the game up, you got a chance against a great pitcher.
1-1 to Matt Halladay, and in his first start went 1 for 3, was hit by a pitch and scored 2 runs. Yadier Molina on deck, and Matt Halladay swings and misses, and now it's 1-2, trying to get out of a first inning jam, and 1 run wouldn't be all that bad for Roy Halladay. catcher's interference call, by the way, goes as an error charge to Ruiz. That's the second error of the series charged to the Phillies. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and two. Roy Halladay giving up 3 runs in the first game of the series. Phillies came back and won 3 of the 4 games. The team that took the lead ended up on the short end.
Yeah, as long as it's not a really big inning and you haven't gotten your team too far behind. We've all seen Doc run off 20, 19, shoot perfect games.
And a full count. First 3-2 count we've had in this first inning. .28 pitches thrown by Roy Halladay, and a pop-up in foul territory. Placido Polanco has a play and makes the catch for the second out. And the runners hold. Pujols at second and Berkman at first.
Well, when a guy has an injury, you're going to try to find out how difficult he is to swing the bat. He goes with a cutter away, and then he starts throwing some harder cutters. Look, Halladay doesn't throw anything straight. 2-seamer in, another seamer in, and then he tries to get him to chase out of the strike zone. And he doesn't bite. Good discipline, and then he doesn't hang a curveball. He makes a good curveball that he pops up to the third baseman.
So with 2 down and 2 on, Yadier Molina, the Cardinal catcher, 3 of 15 and 1 run batted in, hitting .200 in the series. And 1 for 8 lifetime against Halladay. And it's fouled back, and the Milwaukee Brewers have defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-2 in a deciding 5th game. So the winner of this contest will go against the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Championship Series that you will see on TBS. And that series will begin Sunday.
They certainly have some attention they're going to be watching here to see if they start at home or make their trek out here to open up with Philly.
Check swing by Molina, and it's 1-1.
I don't know if I've ever seen Halladay throw this many breaking pitches in the first inning. Trying to get these St. Louis Cardinals hitters to bite. They are not so far.
But with a leadoff triple and a double, to get out of this with only 1 run would be major for Halladay. 2-1. And a ground ball to Rollins. He'll get the force, and that'll do it. 33 pitches thrown by Roy Halladay, but for Call's triple and Schumacher's RBI double, giving the Cardinals a 1-0 lead. Phillies coming up in the first. Cardinals getting a run in the first inning, and now the Phillies coming up against Chris Carpenter. And today's batting order brought to you by Autotrader.com for the Phillies. Jimmy Rollins red hot. Leading off, Chase Utley has been great. Batting second, Hunter Pence hitting third, and Ryan Howard batting cleanup. Shane Victorino in the 5th slot, Raul Ibanez batting 6th. In the 7th position, Placido Polanco, Carlos Ruiz hitting 8th, and Roy Halladay batting 9th against Chris Carpenter, going on normal rest tonight after lasting 3 innings in Game 2.
Well, these guys are out of the same mold. Big guys that use their front leg and really get through their pitches. 3/4 arm delivery with a lot of different stuff they can throw at you.
Carpenter 11-9 and pitched more innings than anyone in the National League with 237 1/3.
Well, it doesn't look like great numbers for Carpenter, but he started 1-7. He finished 10-2. That's more like Carpenter's numbers.
And did not get the run support for most of the season. 0-2, and Rollins hits it in the air to right center field. Schumacher calling for it and makes the catch. And Rollins is retired, coming in with 9 hits, leading the Phillies. Let's take a look at the Cardinals defensively, and Schumacher played only 1 game in center field in the regular season.
They see Pujols with the 2 Gold Gloves and the 3 Gold Gloves from Molina, one of the best defensive catchers in the game.
But the Cardinals were a team that had their problems defensively during the course of the year as Chase Utley steps up. Utley has been on base 10 times, has 2 doubles and a triple, has scored 5 runs. So the Phillies offense, no complaints with Rollins and Utley to start the lineup.
Yeah, they've created havoc, and normally when they do that, that spells trouble for the opposing pitcher. I think for Carpenter today, a big time success factor is going to be how he handles his curveball. It's a weapon he can go to at any time. If he's throwing it for strikes like that, it's going to be a good game.
0-2 to Utley with Hunter Pence on deck for the Phillies.
Utley's had an injury-marred season. We were talking to Charlie Manuel today. He said, listen, when he's at top of his game, he's delivering 25 to 30 home runs, driving in 100, scoring 100, but right now is about 3/4 of the player he can be, so that's why I put him in the 2-hole.
And he hadn't really hit, and then you turn on the lights in postseason, and he comes alive. And Utley, strikeout victim here, and there are 2 down on the first strikeout for Carpenter.
Well, basically what we talked about is if he's got this pitch going, it's such a great change of speed. 74 miles an hour with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Awfully tough to hit. When the hitter sees it at one plane and it drops about 3 feet, that's going to be difficult.
That brings up Hunter Pence. Big acquisition from the Houston Astros. Perhaps the final piece of the puzzle for the Phillies. Hitting 267. And Hunter Pence with 4 RBIs in this series. He has 4 hits, but all of them have been singles. Strike 1 to him.
John, you talked about that first game where Carpenter only went 3 innings. Charlie Manuel said they were taking that pitch down out of the strike zone, but Carpenter has countered in this game by trying to pump in that first pitch strike.
Well, he's got a full assortment of pitches that he can go to. He's developed a hard cutter, messes with a split a little bit, but I think the command of his fastball, he can run it into right-handers away from lefties, but that big curveball, as we talked about, is a built-in change of speed that gets guys off of his fastball.
The 2-1 pitch, and grounded to Furcal. And Chris Carpenter, a lot better in this outing than he had in the first inning in his first appearance. 1-2-3 inning, Phillies are retired. Cardinals coming up in the top of the second inning with the bottom third of their batting order, and David Freese, who was the batting hero in Game 4, as the Cardinals won to force a deciding game tonight. And the first pitch in for a strike from Roy Halladay. Halladay threw 33 pitches in the first inning. And the Cardinals jumped on him with a triple and a double, scored a run, and then shut the door, but not before the Cardinals had many good at-bats. The count 0-2 to Freese.
I think what Halladay does is it's almost like judging what the hitters are going to do against him in the first, and they weren't coming out of their shoes trying to swing, because everybody knows when you face Halladay, it's 0-2 before you get a chance to do anything, so why take pitches?
Two balls and 2 strikes. Halladay, second in the National League with a 2.35 earned run average, and tied for third in the league in strikeouts. And Freese strikes out for out number 1 in the second inning. Well, the big story in St. Louis, the Squirrels perhaps. I think they've made an appearance here, Craig Sager.
Well, you know, Dick, superstition does play a major role in baseball lore, and yes, the Cardinals' rally squirrel has appeared in Philadelphia. We first saw him Wednesday night running across home plate just prior to the Cardinals' rally to put that game away. And then, sure enough, 2 nights later, Tony La Russa predicted that we would see the squirrel here in Philadelphia. And the squirrel is out there prior to today's game. Running across the field during the Phillies pregame warm-up. And that again is Roy Oswalt having problems with the squirrel. Now during that stretch run in September.
Line drive right to Polanco for the second out.
Well, during that stretch run in September, the Cardinals had a rallying cry. Win one for Torty. That was Alan Craig's pet tortoise. Torty. Now, La Russa says Torty and Scardy are in a suite up here watching the game. And Dick, that's the story in a nutshell.
Here is Carpenter with a ground ball to Rollins. They have a nicer suite than we have. 1-2-3 inning. Cardinals retired in order in the second. National League Division Series coverage on TBS is brought to you in HD by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Well, Ryan Howard will lead off for the Phillies in the bottom of the second inning. And all of Philadelphia and Charlie Manuel waiting for Howard to right himself at the plate. He is 2 for 15. He has a 3-run homer for one of those hits, but he is 0 for his last 11 with 6 strikeouts after a single to knock in a couple of runs in game number 2.
That right there is a perfect example as a pitcher. That tells me he's trying to get it going. He's trying to get the bat and the barrel out, trying to beat the fastball, and he's just too aggressive. Plate awareness is gone, and he's pressing. And in a short series, that's what can happen. But in 162 games, it'll even itself out.
1-1 to Howard with Victorino and Ibanez to follow here in the second. Hit sharply, but right at Nick Punto. And Howard is retired now, 0 for his last 12, 1 gone in the second with Shane Victorino stepping up. It's been a struggle for the middle of that batting order with Howard at 133. And Pence 1 for his last 10, and Victorino with 4 hits, all singles. Chop foul. Third baseman David Freese playing a few steps in at third, respecting the bunt possibility.
Well, Victorino's been their most versatile offensive performer. This is his 24th time hitting in the 5-hole. He's led off 51 times. He's hit first, second, and third in this Phillies lineup. You're talking about the bottom of the order, middle of the order, Dick. You get down to the bottom of the order, get to Ruiz and Polanco, 3 for 30. It's not going to make it work.
1-1.
One of the things that every club has to have is the fear factor. And for the longest time, they could hit a lot of home runs, score some runs, and they had that fear in that offense. Now their pitching staff has become the fear factor because they quiet all the offense. But you do have to score to win. And we saw this last year when San Francisco came in and basically shut down the lineup.
There are hitting inconsistencies that the Phillies fall into every now and then. We've seen it in the last few years. They dropped 8 in a row toward the end of the year, then won 4 straight. And we're hitting well then. And that's always a concern for Charlie Manuel.
You know, John mentioned it before. Teams that during the regular season spend most of their time scoring a majority of their runs with the home run. It dries up in the postseason. It just does not happen. You don't see a lot of Lance Berkman 3-run home runs in the postseason.
2-2 to Victorino. Tony La Russa set up his rotation with an eye to game number 5, and that's why he went with Chris Carpenter on short rest in the second game of the series. Of course, he wasn't counting on a 3-inning stint in game number 2, but he's got his man out there tonight. And a line drive down the right field line, fair ball into the corner. Lance Berkman goes after it. Victorino with speed, and he'll stop at second base with a 1-out double in the first hit of the game for the Phillies.
Well, whenever you watch Victorino down and in from the left side is his strength, and that's where that pitch is, more of the middle of the plate. But always hustle from Victorino. This ball down the line. By the time Berkman gets to it, no chance to make a play at second base for the Flying Hawaiian.
Well, he's so far on the plate, he invites you to throw it in there, and any movement back over the middle gives him the luxury to keep it fair. Most guys can't even keep that ball fair.
Raul Ibanez, the left fielder, and at age 39, the oldest Philly on what is a veteran team up and down the batting order. Ibanez with a 2-run homer and an RBI single in game number 1 has driven in 4 runs, and he takes a strike from Carpenter.
He went through a tough stretch this year where his swing got long and he was struggling for a period of time, and he caught fire later in the season, and to beat him with fastballs has been the play for the season most of the part, but you still have to mix it up and make him aware of that inside part.
Missing outside with the curveball, and the count 1-1, so the Phillies have the tying run in scoring position with 1 away here in the second.
Guys, you wouldn't usually steal third base with a left-handed hitter up, but Freese is so far off the bag that if Victorino goes, the hardest part for Freese is running, catching the ball, and applying the tag all in one motion.
Foul ball past Sam Carlotto, the first base coach of the Phillies, and it's 1-2. Phillies were in first place all year and setting a franchise record with 102 victories. And if they win this game, they'll go to the National League Championship Series for the 4th consecutive season. Good stop on the pitch in the dirt by Molina.
Talk to anyone around the major leagues, one of the best in baseball, it's got to be Molina. Not only does he block the ball, but he smothers it, catches that right in his chest protector, moves forward on the baseball, and makes sure that it only goes a foot or 2 feet away from him.
3 gold gloves for Yadier Molina. Count remains 2-2 to Ibanez. Charlie Manuel, who has just led the Phillies to their 5th straight National League East title, managed the world champion in 2008, got to the series in 2009 as well. Popped up. Pujols backing up, and Punto makes the catch in foul territory, as Pujols and Punto were within inches of each other, and that'll be the second out here in the second inning. Tony La Russa, 3rd most winningest manager of all time, 13 division titles, 5 pennants, and 2 world championships, 1 in each league.
You know what I got from our meetings with both managers today? How ebullient and smiling and happy they were. They just loved the competition of this entire event. Couldn't wait to get to this Game 5.
And they love the setting.
Yes.
2 down to Placido Polanco. 0 for his last 7. Breaking ball misses. It's 1-0 to Polanco. Victorino with a 1-out double. Cardinals are leading 1-0. Phillies batting in the second of the deciding Game 5. 1-1.
Well, for Chris Carpenter, again, if you have never watched him pitch too often, he is a fierce competitor with stuff that obviously is an ace, and he has pitches that cut like this, a hard slider. It's rare you throw a hard slider, big curveball, and have those variances without them two becoming one. A lot of pitchers, those 2 pitches might be a slurve.
Polanco with a ground ball to Furcal, and that'll do it. A 1-out double by Victorino, and he is stranded at second. We go to the third here at Citizens Bank Park. The Cardinals lead the Phils 1-0. Now it's time for our Goodyear Superior Performer. And an anniversary tomorrow. 55 years ago tomorrow, Don Larson pitched the perfect game against the Dodgers in the '56 World Series.
Whew, I can't even imagine that.
Roy Halladay on that list. 21 consecutive outs as for Call leading off in the third, swinging at the first pitch and grounding out to Utley, one away to Skip Schumacher.
When you see Doc Halladay pitch, this is the best visual I can give you. When we watch these mechanics, right about here, he's got a tray like a waiter, holding it up right here, a perfect position to deliver the baseball, and he repeats his mechanics so good that that's why he's one of the best. I mean, it's unbelievable. He puts the ball where he wants to, but imagine a waiter holding a tray. That's how he gets the baseball to the position.
1-0 to Schumacher, who knocked in the Cardinals' run with a double into the right field corner in the first inning. And the count 1-1 to Skip Schumacher. Halladay and Carpenter both listed at 6'6", 230 pounds, both picked by the Toronto Blue Jays in the first round. Carpenter in '92 and Halladay in '95. So many similarities. And the two have been close. They go fishing after the season.
Only difference between the win total for both, some injuries to Chris Carpenter during his career.
Halladay is ahead of Schumacher, 1-2. Opposite field drive to left field. Ibanez coming over and makes the catch. Took off at the crack of the bat, did Raul Ibanez, and at 39 can still make the play in left field. There are two down for the Cardinals in the third.
Well, Schumacher trying to go coast to coast. This ball's supposed to be in, ends up away, slices it towards left field, but Ibanez had him played perfectly towards the line, and with a good run, makes a fine catch.
And here's Albert Pujols, who reached on a fielder's choice and advanced the second a wild pitch in the first inning. 1-0 to Pujols.
Well, you talk about these guys' friendship and former teammates. They both come in with the unwritten rule, know that they're allowed 2 mistakes, 2 runs, because they respect each other that much that you feel like, okay, 2 runs is not going to beat me, and I've got those 2. Right now it's 1 for Halladay and 0 for Carpenter.
John, we ought to have a separate scoreboard for the mistakes.
That's right.
To decide this game. There's a call strike, and 1-2 as Halladay gets ahead of Pujols as well. Foul ball. That was the 50th pitch thrown by Roy Halladay. Another foul ball past Jose Oquendo, the Cardinals' third base coach.
Albert Pujols is so hard to pitch to because he stays on so many pitches. Sometimes slower than slow will actually give you an advantage against him like that.
Strikes out. Second strikeout of the game for Halladay, who retires the side in order. 8 in a row set down by Halladay. Cardinals lead 1-0. And we have a defensive replacement for the Cardinals here in the third inning. John Jay has gone in to play center field. Skip Schumacher has left the game. In game number 4, he had a problem with a hamstring on a swing. Not sure whether that's the problem, but Schumacher is out of the game. This after driving in the Cardinal run with a double.
What a shame. He had a couple of real solid at-bats against Halladay.
And the Phillies batting in the third inning. The number 8 hitter, Carlos Ruiz, followed by Roy Halladay, then the top of the order against Chris Carpenter. And the first pitch is a strike. Breaking ball hit into the air to right center field. And Lance Berkman makes the catch. Ruiz now 1 for 15 in the series, 1 away, and so Roy Halladay is coming up to face his friend Chris Carpenter.
I'll tell you, Doc's worked at it a little bit and got a little more respectable at the plate coming over from the American League. These Phillies take pride in everything that they do, especially getting bunts down. But they're starting to look, they can swing the bat a little bit.
Well, you look at all the National League teams that are in the playoffs. Their pitchers are athletes. They can get the job done. They can drive in runs. They can field their position.
2 strikes to Halladay, who had an infield hit in the first game of the series. He was 1 for 4.
How friendly can you be if you throw him an 0-1 hook? That's
yeah,
not
he
very
broke
nice.
the rule. He broke the Cardinal rule. And he'll have to pay for that when he goes back to.
You mentioned the 6'6", 230.
And Halladay strikes out. 2 gone here in the 3rd inning. 2nd strikeout of the game for Chris Carpenter. Again, looking at these 2 tall pitchers, both drafted by Toronto, and they got to know each other in the minor leagues and really talk baseball and what they wanted to do as pitchers back then.
I know they're plying their trades with a different team now. Very rare do you have 2 pitchers drafted by one organization that have that many accolades.
Here is Jimmy Rollins, who flied to center field his first time up. Rollins, with 9 hits, is the batting leader for the Phillies in this series. Been on base 10 times. Chop, fair ball. Pujols flips to Carpenter, and a 1-2-3 inning. We have completed 3 in the deciding game of this division series. The Cardinals won, the Phillies nothing.
Well, Jimmy Rollins is smiling now, but he wasn't smiling a few seconds ago when he fouled the ball down the first base line. Jimmy sees it as foul. Now the call is, of course, Chad Fairchild, the first base umpire. Once it passes the bag, he has the call. Before the bag, home plate umpire Cederstrom has the call. But I'm with Jimmy. I thought that ball, as it came off the bat, I thought it was foul, and he is feeling incredulous.
Of course, the umpires don't have the benefit of slow motion and seeing it several times. Lance Berkman lines it foul for strike 1, starting the 4th inning. Berkman reached on a catcher's interference in the 1st inning. Cardinals held to 1 run after they had 2 runners on, and there's a drive hit to center field. Victorino, plenty of room. Berkman is retired for the first out in the 4th, and Matt Halladay will come up.
Each pitcher talked about getting into the flow of the game. They're there. It's part of the big moment, anticipation, get out, you want to establish yourself. Halladay gave up the 1 run, harmless. He knows that if he keeps it right there, his team's going to score a run, and it's now up to the hitters to take advantage of whatever little room or mistake the pitchers make, because it's going to be tight from here on in.
First pitch to Matt Halladay, ball 1. Fouled out to Polanco, who made the catch near the stands his first time up. Halladay working quickly, takes something off that pitch, and the count 1-1 to the Cardinal left fielder.
Nobody gets to the inside of their leg better than he does. When he finishes, he doesn't spin off to the first base side. He's got such a balanced position. Watch when this leg lands and he really makes that pitch, and he stands in a position where he can field his position as well.
Yeah, and John, you mentioned it's kind of a stiff front leg for Halladay. He doesn't land on a collapsed leg, and kind of just gravity takes him over that front leg.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's fouled off. John, does that style remind you of any other pitcher you've seen?
You know, it's interesting because when everyone knows about that article, what happened to him when he was struggling, he went back and redefined his position. We look at here. I mean, these 2 guys are similar. He ducks a little bit. It's a little bit of a Jack Morris, but not quite the way they land.
Halladay fouls this off his leg. Boy, Matt Halladay has had a rough year fighting injuries, and the latest, of course, has been the tendon in his right hand. That's not the only problem he's had as he fouls this off the foot.
I think he got this off the shin. Let's take another look. Yeah, right off the inside knee and shin. That is so painful. I saw the Cardinals trainer thinking of coming out. If you're not going to come out now, it's the postseason. You got to come out every time.
And what does a veteran pitcher do in this situation right here?
Right back in there, John.
Go right back in there.
Let's hear it. The 1-2 pitch. Chases an outside pitch, strike 3. And that's the third strikeout for Roy Halladay. 2 out in the 4th. Molina coming up.
Well, he did just the opposite, and I'm sure if you're Matt, you're thinking, oh, he's going to come back in here last minute.
It didn't really matter. He didn't want any part of that at-bat after that foul pitch. Good cutter. That ball just keeps scraping away from the hitter.
1-0 to Molina. .32 pitches in the first inning. And a ground ball hit up the middle and a base hit for Yadier Molina. 2-out single is the third hit of the game against Roy Halladay, who gave up a triple and a double to start the game. Double by Schumacher, who knocked in the only run, and Schumacher had to leave the game because of an injury, and John Jay replaced him in center field. So here's David Freese with 1 on and 2 out. He chases. 0-1.
That's just knowing your scouting report. Anybody who would chase a first pitch, obviously looking like for a heater, would swing at a curveball out of the zone. That's knowing the type of hitter you've got and taking advantage of it.
Strike 2 to David Freese, who has struck out 8 times already in this series.
Freese might not get another fastball for a strike this entire game.
There goes Molina, and the pitch taken for a ball, and Molina is into second base, and the count 1-2 to Freese.
Boy, instinctually, Molina just so sharp out there. Takes the extra base because they did not hold him on, and puts himself in a place to score a second run.
Just getting a piece of it is Freese. Cardinals scored their run in the first inning, and Schumacher was at second. And then a play made at third where Schumacher tried to go to third base on a ground ball, and Utley threw him out at third. Cardinals left 2 on base in that inning. And Freese strikes out for the second time in the game. And 4 strikeouts for Halladay. The Cardinals get a hit, but in the middle of the 4th inning, it's 1-0. We've had nothing but a sea of red throughout this series. The red of the Phillies, and of course the same story in St. Louis. And both fans of both cities waving their white rally towels as Chase Utley starts it off in the 4th inning, taking ball 1.
You mentioned, Ron, early about Chase Utley and hitting. When you don't have your lower half completely under you, you are a different hitter. And this guy was as scary and put up numbers kind of like Cano, and he's been battling through it. He's a tough player. He just doesn't have the rotation on his lower half to deliver that kind of power that we're used to seeing.
You know what's interesting, when you watch Chase Utley play over the course of his career, I don't think anyone in the game plays any harder than he does. And I think the way he plays has caused some of these injuries to mount over the course of his career.
He had 5 20 home run seasons before injuries started to get to him last year. Here's the 1-1 curveball. Strike 2 to Utley. Be followed by Hunter Pence and Ryan Howard here in the 4th inning. Phillies trying to get some production from the middle of the order, not to mention the back of the order, which hasn't done much. Ball 4, and Utley, hit by the pitch, is on. Moments ago, we spoke with Cardinals manager Tony La Russa. And Tony, so far the game is advertised?
Well, I think so, Dick. First of all, our guys is sharp, but there aren't many pitches around in that first inning. Give a triple and a double with the middle of our lineup, and we don't get another one. So they're both very good.
Well, you got your guy on 4 days rest, and he looks awfully sharp, commanding his fastball.
Yeah, and he's got that curveball going early just to give him something else. But you know, he's got his movement, and he's gonna be tough to score on too. But we need to add something just to give him a chance to make a mistake and not get penalized.
What about Schumacher? What was the problem there?
Pulled an oblique, which is you know, he's probably had the best 2 at-bats on our ball club against him, but thought an oblique, I think it was his left side, so we had to remove him.
All right, Tony, thank you. There's 1 out, and Hunter Pence with a grounder to the right side, and Utley is forced at second. With Ryan Howard coming up, he grounded to Punto at second, his first time up.
Well, here's another case right here, Ron. Again, if you're a pitcher on the mound, you can try to see how aggressive he's going to be. Pitch a couple balls out of the zone, hope that he swings, and just have that feel that you don't have. If you don't have to throw a guy a lot of strikes, don't do it.
Howard 0 for his last 12. And there's a drive caught by Punto. The throw to first, not in time for the double play. So Nick Punto making a fine play, timing that jump perfectly.
Well, it's one of the reasons Nick Punto's in the lineup. He made a nice play on that ground ball, and this a jam shot from Howard. The tough part about this for a second baseman is the timing of the leap. You see that done early, too early sometimes. But Punto with a nice play makes it look easy, and the underhand toss trying to complete the double play.
Pence gets back, and there is Punto starting his first game of the series, and has played his career with the Minnesota Twins before coming over to the Cardinals. So Howard is retired for the second time, and here is Shane Victorino, who has the only Phillies hit, a double into the right field corner. 1-0. Cardinals lead in the 5th and deciding game of this division series. Freese playing a few steps in at third, and the first pitch down low to Victorino, ball 1.
What makes the playoffs, not only elimination games, so incredible is the fact that in a regular season game, man on first, 2 outs, no big deal. It's a rally. Everything's a rally when you get into the playoffs. Guy on first, oh my gosh. And I think that's the one thing, the less you can have those stress pitches and runners on second and third, and all you're facing is 2-out issues, you're going to be okay.
Two balls and no strikes to Victorino. Ground ball, base hit to right field by Victorino. Hunter Pence will go to third, and the Phillies have runners at first and third and 2 away. Victorino 2 for 2 in the game, and Ibanez coming up.
Well, this situation right here, he did what he had to do. Pujols was holding on, but he found the hole. And again, 2 outs, first and third, better than first and third, nobody out, or 1 out.
You know what's interesting about that is Pujols held his ground. He didn't get off the bag 5 or 6 feet. He wanted to make sure that he would not allow a double down the line. Double down the line would score Pence. He's given his pitcher Carpenter with 2 outs another shot to get out of the inning.
And Raul Ibanez, who has 4 runs batted in this series. Victorino had 3 hits in game 1 of the series, knocking in 2 runs, was 1 for 12 since, and has come back and has been a force here for the Phillies. Tying run is at third. Go ahead run at first. Down low for ball 1.
The luxury of having Molina catching you here with a guy who throws a lot of curveballs and lives in the dirt. You have no fear that he's not going to block it. It's a luxury for a pitcher. There you don't have to hang on and aim that pitch. You can just throw it knowing that your guy is as good as it gets back there.
Molina this year become more of an offensive force, led his team in hitting become really more of a complete catcher. 1-1 as Ibanez fouls it back.
You don't want to throw too many fastballs to Ibanez, but if you're going to, you have to tie him up inside. Perfectly placed pitch there by Carpenter.
Hunter Pence is third, and Victorino on at first. 2 away here in the 4th inning. Fouled back, and the count is 1-2. Ibanez 2 for 14 against Chris Carpenter. Runners at the corners with 2 away. Cardinals scoring their run in the 1st inning for a call with a leadoff triple. Schumacher with a run-scoring double, and he came out of the game suffering a pulled left oblique. Close. 2-2. Here's Ryan Howard trying to find the answer in this decisive game. Big run producer. Has had a long drought since that opening game. But here's Ibanez with the count 2-2. And a 3-2 count to Ibanez with runners at first and third and Placido Polanco waiting to hit.
Well, now Pujols is going to back off the bag, try to give him a little more advantage to fielding a ball. The runner's going to get a running start.
This is the first 3-ball count for Chris Carpenter. Runner off from first, and a fly ball hit to right field. Lance Berkman on the warning track, and he makes the catch to retire the side. Close for Raul Ibanez as the Phillies lead 2. We go to the 5th inning with the Cardinals still up 1-0. 1-0 the count to Nick Punto, who aligned to Polanco his first time up. Punto, the 8th hitter in the Cardinal lineup. Pitcher Chris Carpenter up next, and the count 2 balls and no strikes to Punto, who has played in 2 postseasons with the Twins in 06 and again in 09. 2-1.
And that's why you can start him in a game like this. You know, he hasn't played all series, it's a couple of at-bats, but he can start him in game 5 because he needs the defensive help for Carpenter, but he knows he has all that experience.
Invaluable, particularly in a game like this. Ball strike, 2-2. Halladay gets even with Punto after falling behind. And a line drive to the opposite field, base hit for Nick Punto, starting off the 5th inning for the Cardinals. Moments ago, we spoke with Phillies pitching coach Rich Doobie, and so looks like Roy Halladay, after that first inning, settling down as he did in game 1.
Yeah, very similar to game 1. You know, got off to a rocky start, and then it seems like he's got to test the waters and gets a little angry, it looks like, and settled in nicely.
You know, Rich, there's a real art, though, to pitching with runners in scoring position. Halladay, as good as anyone, what does he do that's better than others?
He doesn't panic. I mean, he understands about making pitches, and he's a contact guy. He pitches to contact, so there are some base hits there and guys on base, but there's never panic, and it's great determination out there from Roy.
Rich, thanks for being with us.
All right, thanks.
And a call strike to Carpenter, 0-1, and Carpenter looking to move Punto to second base for the top of the order. Rafael Furcal to follow.
These little things are huge, aren't they, John?
They sure are. And one thing the Cardinals do is they teach their pitchers, show bunt, bring the bat back, maybe a double threat, and then put the bat back to a bunting position. But it gives them the option to do a couple things.
That's bunted foul, 2 strikes.
By showing the bat and then bringing it back. If the infielder comes too close to you, the third baseman charges, they teach you to slug bunt it. And what that is a 3/4 swing trying to get it by the draw in an infield. I always viewed it as an easier chance to get a free hit because the position is out of place.
Polanco is moved back into the cutout part of third base and the throw over to first. And the Phillies still wary of the bunt with 2 strikes. Squaring around, and there's the bunt. Fair. And it's a double play. Carpenter didn't even bother getting out of the batter's box to run. Handled by Carlos Ruiz. And the double play, 2-6-4 right here.
The reason that this is a great play is Ruiz, with that quickness, comes out in front of the plate, makes sure he gets that baseball before it will have a chance to bounce foul. Carpenter stays in the batter's box. That allows them to turn to easy double play. The little things can sometimes come back to haunt you.
So 2 down to Rafael Furcal, and there you saw Roy Halladay pointing to Ruiz very alertly starting that play. So a possibility for the Cardinals to get a runner in scoring position. Instead, there are 2 down, and Furcal lifts it in the air to Ibanez in left field, and a quick inning for Roy Halladay. It remains 1-0 in favor of St. Louis as the Phillies bat in the 5th. Placido Polanco leading off in the 5th against Chris Carpenter. Cardinals leading 1-0 in the first pitch is a strike. So it's Polanco and Ruiz, and then Roy Halladay. Polanco and Ruiz are a combined 3 for 32 in this series.
Well, just what I thought. You can tell by watching this game, both pitchers are nervous. They don't feel good. They don't look good. Quite the opposite. I think this is exactly what we thought we'd see. 2 guys in command, and certainly 1 run might be enough.
No walks in the game, John, and each pitcher has had only 1 3-ball count thus far.
You never know what events will transpire when you're drafted by a team that will sometimes put you on the same field and the same time and the same place, and both these guys delivering so far.
1-2, slowly hit to Furcal. Polanco's retired, 1 away, and right now let's check in with Matt Weiner in our Atlanta studio. All right, Matt, thank you very much. 1 out. Carlos Ruiz, who fly to Berkman in right field his first time up. So you guys are going to be taken off maybe.
It depends on this game
Maybe.
here.
Yeah. Don't give up your room yet.
But John's got a plane. We'll take off wherever we have to go at some point.
Brian Anderson will be joining Ron Darling and John Smoltz for the National League Championship Series as Ruiz chops it to Furcal and makes the play for out number 2. And of course, we throughout this playoff sending our best to Ernie Johnson, who has been tending to his son Michael and his illness, and all of us wish Ernie Johnson the best.
Absolutely.
2 down, and Roy Halladay coming up. Struck out his first time up. Takes down low ball 1. Leadoff hitter Jimmy Rollins would be next, and Here's a chopper to third base. Freeze. Backhands it, and 3 ground balls, 3 outs as Carpenter retires the side in order. 1-0 on that first inning run for the Cardinals going to the 6th. John Jay will come to the plate for the first time. He went into the game as a defensive replacement for Skip Schumacher, who pulled an oblique. Went into the 3rd inning. So here is Jay, who is 2 for 11 in the series. But both of his hits came in game 2, and they both knocked in runs as the Cardinals won here last week. First pitch, a strike to Jay.
Well, this is a big part of the game, not just because it's the 6th inning, but Doc Halladay made the last out, which means when he goes to the dugout, the top of the order, his lineup gives them the best chance to score a run. And of course, you got the meat of the lineup here for St. Louis. So a big inning. He also knows, as a National League, you're going to get pinch hit for late in the game, unless the game's tied or you're winning. Big couple innings for Doc.
John, 1-2 now to Jay.
John, that epic battle you had with Jack Morris, is there a point where you know you can't give up any more runs or give up a run?
Well, absolutely. I mean, certainly you're going against the guy who's hot, and your offense.
Utley makes the flip.
And so all you're trying to do is put your team in a chance for that 1-2 out hit or that 2-run homer, and the game's over. I mean, Doc right now feels like he knows he's not giving up any more runs. The team senses it. The pressure and tension builds here at home, especially with the fans, because they know, come on, guys, we just need 2.
I remember a long time ago, the great Jim Cott, the great left-hander, was pitching against Sandy Koufax in the World Series. Game 7, Minnesota was 1-0, runner at second. Manager Sam Ely came out and said, I'm taking you out. He says, it's only 1-0. He says, Koufax already has enough. Here is Albert Pujols, and he takes ball 1. Pujols is 0 for 2, struck out his last time. So a lot depends on who the opposite pitcher is and what he needs. Chases that one.
The thing about pitching in close games, when you're on the side of a 1-run lead, you want it to be close. If in a perfect world late they could add a run or 2, man, that is like a huge adrenaline lift.
Fair ball, third. Backing up is Polanco. Outstanding third baseman. Polanco has been brilliant in this series, handling some tough chances, and there are 2 gone in here in the 6th.
Well, he's got a couple of gold gloves. When you watch him, he's playing almost no doubles down the line, and this ball gets an in-between hop, but he has the wherewithal and the patience to wait for it and just make that nice long toss over to first base.
2 down to Lance Berkman, who reached on catcher's interference, and that was charged an error to Carlos Ruiz. Fly to center his last time up. Cardinals have out-hit the Phillies 4-2, and that run in the first inning standing up here as the Cardinals batting in the 6th. The winner of this game will take on the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Championship Series, and for the loser, the season will be over. 0-2.
One thing you never want to see Mr. Berkman do is set his bat down after he hits it. One of the best home run. You know, you can't get mad at the guy when he hits a home run and sets it down nicely for you.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and again Berkman, who hit the 3-run homer in the first inning of game number 1, and also hit a home run against Halladay on September 19th, a solo drive. So he has been able to go deep against this great righty. 2 down, the 1-2 pitch. Checks the swing. They did not go around. Right side, and Utley on the outfield grass, playing it perfectly, makes the play. 3 ground balls, 3 outs for Halladay in the middle of the 6th. Cardinals 1, the Phillies nothing. Phillies coming up in the 6th, and as John Smoltz telegraphed, this is a big inning for the Phillies.
Yeah, it really is. The crowd senses it, and sir, it all starts with Jimmy Rollins, and anyway, anyhow he can get on. Sometimes Jimmy will sneak attack you on the first pitch.
Gets the curve over for a strike. Rollins is 0 for 2, but has 9 hits and has been on base 10 times in this series.
As a pitcher, you know what parts of the game are real important when the lineup comes up, and you're just trying to get that first guy out so it doesn't get hectic in here and you think too much about the noise and what's, you know, I call it the what if scenario. Never think of what if happens when you're pitching. One batter at a time, one pitch at a time.
Two-one pitch, ground ball left side for call. And Rollins is retired. He's 0 for 3, but Craig Sager to Jimmy Rollins, the glass is always half full.
Well, you know, this is the 5th straight year the Phillies have won the division title, but he told me before the series a totally different atmosphere in the clubhouse. He said, this team just has it. I go, what's it? He says, experience, talent, confidence. We will not lose. I talked to him before the game tonight. I said, you feel that still that same way even though it's tied? He said, absolutely, we are not going to lose. We'll see if it happens. Nick?
Well, he's delivered thus far in the series, although he has been stymied 0 for 3 thus far. Here's Chase Utley, who struck out and then was hit by a pitch. One and 0. Hunter Pence on deck. As Chris Carpenter, with that 1-0 lead, has retired the side in order in 3 of the first 5 innings. One and 1.
We talked about in the beginning, his curveball has been fantastic. He's thrown it for strikes. He's thrown it down at their feet. He's really kept the hitters off balance, and really a lot of balls up the middle to shortstop, second base. That's what you want when you're throwing.
And a call strike, and it's 1 and 2.
Well, when you watch Ryan Howard on the bench, you've got a couple of shots at him. You don't need to know the stats on what he's hitting this series.
Grounded, and Pujols deflects it, and it gets by Punto into right field. So Chase Utley with a 1-out single, and the tying run is at first with Hunter Pence coming to the plate. Hit number 3 for Philadelphia.
Well, Albert covers so much room at first base. He's on the line, but once he dives forward, it deflects off his glove and goes past Punto. And if you watch Utley, he's always hustling. Watch him and Carpenter trying to beat each other to the bag and kind of making the turn Carpenter does with him. Almost looks like he wanted to tackle him.
I guarantee you he did.
So here's Hunter Pence. Grounded to short and reached on a fielder's choice. And stranded at third in the 4th inning. Phillies had first and third, did not score. And he looks Utley back to the bag.
What did we say earlier in the broadcast? Pence was supposed to be the piece they were missing. Carpenter's going to do a nice job of holding Utley close. Utley can steal a base. The big equalizer in this, though, Molina and his golden right arm. Throws as well as any catcher in the National League.
And the strikeout throwout double play in the 1st inning ended the Phillies with only 2 runs. There goes the runner, Utley going. There's the throw to second. They get him. Chris Guccione, the second base umpire. And you just said it, Ron Darling. Yadier Molina, and after a good jump by Utley.
I want you to watch how he sets up. He looks at the runner and he knows he's going. He comes out and fires a strike to second. I didn't think there was any chance with this jump on a curveball that he had him, but unreal throw.
Nah, Yadier Molina, very big play. And the count 0-1 to Pence, and that knocks the wind out of the sails of this crowd at this point.
Let's not underestimate the tag by Punto. I mean, as quick a hands as you're going to see to get that ball down on Utley's foot.
In there, and it's 1 and 2 to Hunter Pence. Saying in the 1st inning of the last game in St. Louis, Phillies were primed for the big inning, but a strikeout and a gun down to second by Molina ended that inning. Now the count 2-2 with nobody on base and 2 away.
These fans, I can't tell you how much they expect this team to go to the World Series. They're feeling the pressure of the drought of runs. They've seen it at times, but they're just looking for something big, a double, an extra base hit, obviously a home run.
And that'll go to Punto, and that'll do it. So a 1-out single, and then thrown out stealing was Chase Utley. And after 6 innings, the Cardinals leading the Phillies 1-0 in the deciding game.
Here's the reason it's still 1-0 St. Louis. I want you to look at his head. He's looking over at the runner as he sees him go. Now he knows he's going, so he can pounce and go. A release that's so quick.
And the thing about when you watch Molina there is that he didn't take away the strike. He caught it for a strike first and then made the throw.
Matt Holliday swings and misses on the first pitch. This was the tag.
Well, the great thing about Punto, he's put in for defensive purposes, slaps that tag right on the calf of Utley before his foot touches. That was outstanding.
1-1 to Holliday, who fouled out to Polanco and struck out. On the inside corner, 1-2. So as was the case in the first game of the series, Halliday taking a while to get in the groove. 6 of the 8 base runners win the first 2 innings. There's a drive hit deep to center field. Victorino back and makes the catch on the warning track right in front of the 409-foot sign. Matt Holliday hit it to the deepest part of this ballpark, and he's retired for out number 1. And here's Molina, who has a single and a stolen base in 2 trips. Strike 1 to Yadier Molina. 4 hits for the Cardinals, 2 coming in the first inning when Furcal led off with a triple to right center field, and Skip Schumacher doubled into the right field corner. That's been the only run of the game, and the count 2 strikes now to Molina.
It's not this easy. If you think pitching in a 1-0 game, these guys are making it look real easy, and it's tough for the hitters, obviously, to square anything up because nothing is around the plate.
It's only the 3rd time that former Cy Young Award winners have opposed each other in an elimination game. Halliday has won 2 Cy Young Awards, and Carpenter has won 1. Chris Carpenter has the one thing that Halliday wants, and that is a World Series ring. That's why he's with the Phillies.
Well, Halliday said when he came over, the reason he wanted to come to the Phillies, he wanted an opportunity to pitch for a championship and to pitch in the postseason. His first start, not too bad, no hitter, but these are the starts right here that are the most difficult.
And Molina out on strikes.
This is a front door cutter that is so difficult for a hitter. Looks like it's a fastball in, and it cuts back over the inside part of the plate. A pitch that Halliday has just perfected. Again, it looks like he's going to throw a fastball, but that spin and that cut brings it back over the plate.
5th strikeout for Halliday, and David Freese has been a strikeout victim in each of his first 2 trips to the plate. Takes ball 1.
Why I think this is the most pressure on any team in the playoffs, because they have the deepest pitching staff. A best-of-5 series, anything really can happen. If you're going to beat the Phillies, most people think the best chance is a best-of-5. If they were to move forward, they're so far better than the rest because they've got 4 quality, great starters.
Pitch is inside, and the count is 2-0, and that's why Game 2, the victory by the Cardinals against Cliff Lee, was significant.
They're built for 162. They're built for a 7-game series, a little vulnerable in the 5-game series.
Fouled at the plate.
And the reason that is, somebody might say, well, wait a minute, they got 4 great starters, but you can get by with 2 if you're facing them. 2 great starters in a best-of-5, other teams can throw at there. But in a 7 series, you got to stretch those guys out. You need that 4th guy.
And a base hit to left field for David Freese. Ibanez coming over, the big turn at first. A 2-out single by Freese, and that's the 5th hit of the game against Halladay.
Well, really, Freese has faced a steady diet of breaking balls. Finally, one a little up in the strike zone. Not an awful breaking pitch, but good swing by Freese. Gets that ball to down the line. He had an idea of going for 2, but nice hustle by Ibanez.
I think what they're going to talk about right here is obviously the pitchers on deck. You have an opportunity in the National League to still not have to face this guy in the 8th hole if you think he can hit a double down the line. But the perfect world is you want the pitcher leading off next inning.
And we have a pinch runner, Daniel Descalso, who is the glove man at third base for Tony La Russa, has gone in a run for Freese with 2 out. And Nick Punto, who singled his last time up, 1 for 2 going the opposite field.
So in this situation, you let the count dictate how you're going to pitch to the 8th hitter.
And the first pitch is a strike. Cardinals really went into some meetings to decide whether Descalso would replace Freese in the last game. They decided to go with Freese, and he delivered with a 2-run homer along with a 2-run double. Oh, 0-2 now to Punto. Do it in the 7th inning as Punto strikes out. 2 this inning, 6 in the game. It has been 30 years since the Phillies faced a do-or-die situation game. That was back in 1981. And this crowd has been positive right now. It's a 1-0 game, and they're just waiting for the Phillies to kind of get the edge there as Cliff Lee begins to throw in the bullpen for the Phillies. Ryan Howard will lead it off here in the 7th.
That was a pretty good matchup in 1981. Also, yes. Steve Rogers for the Montreal Expos and Steve Carlton for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, in this situation right here, a walk's not a bad thing for Howard. I know he's trying to make things happen via the bat. He's been aggressive, and he's fed right into what Carpenter's doing, jamming him, broke his bat his last time. We'll see if he has any patience leading off this inning to get a pitch he wants.
Maybe take a pitch, watch it all the way in.
He is 0 for his last 13. Down low, ball 1.
Charlie Manuel has talked to Ryan Howard about this winter, thinking about moving closer to the plate. Right now, his bat is decelerating as it goes through the strike zone.
And Carpenter falls behind, 2 balls and no strikes. And Howard, despite his hitting woes since the first game, still has 6 RBIs to lead the Phils.
Well, this is a good sign right here. I mean, he's been aggressive. Now he's taken some pitches. Now he has the luxury, you know, if he wants to take another pitch to see what Carp's going to do or swing 3-0. More than likely, a fastball right here.
And gets the green light and a line drive to Berkman in right field. And out number 1. And Carpenter gets Ryan Howard after falling behind 3-0.
That's the first smile we've seen from Carpenter so far. Look at how judicious he's been with his pitches so far. 79. Halladay, 105 after 7 innings. I would not let Howard swing the bat there 3-0. He's not swinging well enough for me to give him that opportunity.
They need a base runner, especially with Shane Victorino, who has 2 of the 3 Phillies hits coming up. Doubled in the 2nd, singled in the 4th. And on the first pitch fastball, fouls it back.
I don't know what's nicer, a double play or a 3-0 out.
I think it's the 3-0 out right now. And the only reason I say that, Howard has been struggling, even though he had 6 RBI. Who's taking the best at bats tonight? Victorino, who's up now.
Two balls in one strike. And keep in mind that if Carpenter gets the Phillies in order, may not have to face the heart of the order in the 9th inning.
Exactly right, and every pitcher knows they play the adding game, and he certainly had a pitch count where he could finish it if he keeps going at this rate.
Count is 2-2 to Victorino. 3 hits for the Phillies. Victorino with the double and the single, and Chase Utley with a 1-out single in the 6th. And he was thrown out attempting to steal by Yadier Molina. Check to swing as they check with Jerry Meals, the third base umpire. Now 3-2.
Again, when you're throwing pitches in, this curveball in is one of those things that left-handers like to go after, especially in the dirt. He obviously did not attempt to swing it.
Pitch, and it's chopped to Pujols, who steps on the bag. Good pitch by Carpenter in on the fist as he gets Victorino for the first time tonight, and there are 2 gone in the 7th. We have not been disappointed by the pitcher's duel set up tonight with Carpenter and Halladay.
Now, the only difference was about 30-some pitches in the first inning, and Doc has been just equally to the task, as is Carpenter. And I tell you what, you just, in a game like this, you keep grinding away, getting outs and outs and outs. Any run from this point on seems like we talked about. If you get a 2-run lead when you're pitching 1-0 all your game, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a big lead.
Here's Ibanez with 2 away. Fouled out to Punto and flied out to right, and takes ball 1 outside.
Phillies are 1 swing away from making that all disappear and equaling it back up.
And that's what Ryan Howard had in mind when he swung on a 3-0 pitch.
But that's sometimes the problem, isn't it? It's that you have a lineup all trying to be the hero. 1 swing of the bat to get them back in the game. Yes, can they do that? Absolutely. But you also want to try to work a rally.
1-1 pitch, and John, you were saying that the one thing you want is a base runner, and to get the leadoff man on, even if it is Ryan Howard, who's your slugger, in a game like this with Victorino coming out, it's just a change to what the pattern has been for this offense.
Yeah, some of the biggest plays in the biggest games are not necessarily a hit. It could be a walk. And that walk can lead to so many different things.
So Carpenter has gone to the 3-ball count on 2 hitters here in the 7th inning after going to 3 balls only once previously. Now we're 3-2.
It's been amazing. Both series, the Yankees lose a 1-run game, the Diamondbacks lose a 1-run game. We're in this game 5, a 1-run game. All the little things that you work so hard for spring training, the fundamentals, the execution, so important here in the last couple innings.
1 hopper to Nick Punto, and a 1-2-3 inning for Chris Carpenter. Phillies retired in the 7th, Cardinals batting in the 8th. That 1-run lead in the first inning holding up. And the St. Louis Cardinals, who really in the last 3 or 4 weeks, every game has been practically an elimination game for them. And this is that kind of a game for them and the Phillies as Chris Carpenter takes ball 1. Carpenter has grounded out and attempting a sacrifice, bunted into a double play. Reaches out and fouls it away.
You know, Tony La Russa said that a half dozen times in September they had a game that if they didn't win it, they were done for the rest of the year. And every time they came up with a win, and especially on the road, and it might sound trite and sophomoric, but all the players said, guys, let's win today. Let's make it a happy flight. And that's what they've really hung their hat on this season, really since September.
And call strike to Carpenter. In fact, there was a loss to the Mets that you thought was going to do it for the Cardinals, and then they lose the first game of the series against the Astros in extra innings. And you said that was going to ruin their chances. And there is Carpenter getting a base hit through the middle and past his buddy Roy Halladay. We've been talking about Halladay and Carpenter, who were with the Toronto Blue Jays. Craig Sager has more.
Well, we've been talking about the tale of the tape, the fact that they are best friends. They are former teammates with the Toronto Blue Jays, but there's also more to this story. They both had their problems. Carpenter had injuries when he was there. Halladay had lack of confidence, got sent to the minors. He said David Wells, his former teammate and our studio analyst, changed his career. I said, how? He said Wells told him with a backhanded compliment, if I had your arm, I'd win 25 games every year.
There's for a call with the bunt. Ruiz going to second, and it's safe at second base as Jimmy Rollins sees the ball roll away, and I'm not sure that Carpenter would have been safe anyway, even if he had held on to it.
Well, it's a bad choice by Ruiz, who doesn't make a lot of bad choices. He knows this run is so important, so he was going to be real aggressive and trying to get Carpenter, the pitcher, at second base. But watch how far this bunt rolls. It's almost halfway out to the mound and throwing on the run with all those catcher's equipment. 1, 2, 3 strikes. He didn't make the play.
And Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, going to the mound. They rule it a fielder's choice and an error charge to Carlos Ruiz. That's his second error of the game. Ryan Madson, the Phillies closer, is now warming up in their bullpen.
That's got to be a sacrifice and an E on the catcher.
Well, TBS, October 18th, prepare for nerd domination. Don't miss The Big Bang Theory, all new to TBS Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights, starting October 18th.
I didn't know you knew that much about that.
Well, someone would say it takes one to know one. I don't want to go that far. And here's John Jay looking to bunt. And did not offer at it, so it's ball 1 to Jay.
Interesting strategy here. If he gets the bunt down and moves the runners over, more than likely, you're going to walk Pujols, your best hitter. You've got Carpenter at second. Not the easiest of tasks to get to third and bunting a pitcher over to third.
If I were the Phillies, I'd make sure I watch John Jay, who steps almost on the plate when he tries to bunt.
And he takes ball 2. John Jay, who came in for the injured Skip Schumacher in the third inning defensively, 0 for 1 since he's come in the game at the plate.
This would be a good count to take the bunt off. 2-0. Get aggressive. Try and steal a couple more runs here with
2-0 bunt. Perfect down the third base line, and Polanco getting it over to Utley for the force, and the sacrifice for the out, and the sacrifice sends runners to second and third. And you know, the way Carpenter was running to second on that first play, you knew that he could motor over to third. So good sacrifice by Jay, and gets congratulations in the dugout. 1 out and runners at second and third. And they're going to walk Pujols as advertised, and pitch to Lance Berkman with the bases loaded.
Well, there's only about a handful of pitchers in baseball that would walk the bases loaded. A left-hander, a switch hitter like Berkman, who really does not hit great from the right side, and you wouldn't change him to that right side with a left-handed reliever because you have one of the best pitchers in baseball.
And Berkman, who hit a home run against him in the first game of the series and won in September. And this is a critical moment in this game with the Cardinals. And you just mentioned what it's like for a pitcher to see the lead greater than 1-0.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I know he's standing on third base, but it's a 1-0 game. You've been grinding. The Cardinals squeeze out a run here. If 2, it just sucks the air out of this stadium and certainly puts St. Louis in the enviable position of finishing this thing off.
And conversely, if you can somehow get out of this without giving up a run, it can propel your offense.
Berkman 0 for 3, reached on an error, and offers at the first pitch 0-1 to Lance Berkman.
So difficult to square up Halladay, thinking you're going to get maybe a pitch on the inner half, and it drops out of the zone, and a guy who's very disciplined just swung at the first pitch in the dirt.
Takes it outside, 1-1. Carpenter, the runner at third. Furcal is at second, and Pujols at first. With one away here in the 8th inning, 1-0, the Cardinals lead. Trying to win this game 5, and Berkman swings and misses 1 and 2. This is the greatness of Halladay if he can take care of Lance Berkman. And Berkman goes down. Big out number 2 for Roy Halladay.
I don't think you can get a tougher batter that you have to face. A great contact hitter, and just did not miss with any of his pitches. Just precise, perfect, did not allow him to extend those arms. Berkman down.
And Matt Halladay with the bases loaded, but now with 2 away. Cardinals had an opportunity with a well-placed grounder or fly ball to get that second run in, but now they're at 2 down. Halladay 0 for 3. Ball 1.
Boy, that's a big no call there from home plate umpire. Real tough pitch, close pitch. What do you think, John?
Inside cutter right there. If anything, maybe just a tad low, but you know Doc wanted it.
Now behind 2-0. The only walk in this game by these 2 premier pitchers was the intentional pass to Pujols here in the 8th inning to load the bases. Oh, strike 2 and 1.
You're not going to get a chance to look at 2 in a row right there. But that was not the pitch Matt Halladay wanted either. Looking for one more up in the zone that he can drive in the gap.
Took something off that one, and now it's 2 and 2 to Matt Halladay. And a drive hit to left field. Ibanez coming on over and makes the catch to retire the side. And Ron Darling, your observation right on the money. This crowd pumped up as Halladay retires the Cardinals with the bases loaded. Moments ago, the scene in the Phillies dugout.
Well, he knows, and it's just a heroic effort. Guy's an unbelievable pitcher and just really did everything he can. I said earlier, each pitcher's allowed 2 mistakes. You hate to have one mistake and 1 run beat you in this game.
Well, it'll be the bottom third of the order, and let's see whether Chris Carpenter is affected by being on the bases as much as he was in the top of the 8th inning. Placido Polanco twice has grounded to short and is way ahead of that pitch, strike 1.
Well, Polanco has struggled. You see the pitch count now, still incredibly low for Carpenter. He struggled offensively in this series. He has a sports hernia that he's been nursing all season long, surgery after the playoffs.
1 ball and 1 strike. So here you have Carpenter, who would love to get out of this inning in order and avoid perhaps facing Howard and Victorino in the 9th inning if he can dispose of these Phillies hitters. And the Phillies trying to capitalize on getting out of the last inning. But here's Furcal And he throws out Polanco for the third time, and there's one away here in the 8th. Carlos Ruiz coming up.
You're throwing that cutter and that power sinker that Carpenter has. You're going to keep your infielders busy. Furcal has been steady. He's made all the plays. Certainly the leadoff hitter just doesn't get on that often when you're on top of your game like Carpenter is.
And Ross Glode is out in the on-deck circle as a pinch hitter for Halladay. Here is Ruiz, and he takes strike 1. Ruiz is fly to right and grounded to Furcal. Ground ball and smothered by Furcal, recovers and throws him out. Rafael Furcal, acquired from the Dodgers and paying dividends at shortstop since his acquisition.
All of these special performances seem to always take a little magic with the leather, and that's the magic there by Furcal.
14 ground ball outs, none bigger than this one right here. 2 outs in the 8th. He gets up, knows the runner, and has a strong arm. Nice follow through.
So the veteran Rafael Furcal, and the first pitch to Ross Glode, the pinch hitter, is a strike. Glode is 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter earlier in the series. Batting for Roy Halladay here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 1-1.
Molina, Furcal, Cardinals leading this game in fist bumps.
Two down. Breaking ball, strike 2. And Glode, strike 3, and Molina safe at first base. Yadier Molina had trouble finding the ball, and he fired widely to Pujols off the bag, and Glode becomes a base runner.
But what happened to Molina is that he smothered this ball in the dirt, but he could not find it. Finally, he flips his mask off, rushes the play, just enough to throw that ball wide to Albert Pujols. Can't find it, shakes his mask off, Glode hustling down that first base line. And see how he kicks it into fair territory? But by the time he throws it, a little cut on that baseball and wide.
What this does is guarantees, unless there's a pickoff or thrown out, stealing, Howard to get up in the next inning.
And Michael Martinez has gone in to run for Glode, who is safe on the error by Molina. So the tying run with good speed is Martinez at first with 2 out, and Jimmy Rollins, who is 0 for 3 and takes ball 1. Rollins has had 2 hits in each of the first 4 games of the series, but Carpenter has set him down 3 times thus far tonight. John Mayberry.
No, you had it right. It's Michael Martinez.
Yes, it's Martinez. And there's a shot off the glove of Carpenter. Throw to first base, and in time, Punto and Furcal both making sparkling plays here in the 8th inning in back of Chris Carpenter. And it remains 1-0 as the Cardinals come to bat in the ninth. 1-0, the Cardinals lead the Phillies as the Cardinals come up in the 9th inning, and it seems, guys, that the drama and the situation on the field is increasing each inning as we get to the 9th inning.
There's only one place I'd rather be in a game like this, is out on the mound.
Right.
In the dugout, you are dying. Your stomach's killing you.
You're a mess. You're a mess. But unbelievable game. Furcal with the big triple and scoring the run. The great defensive play in the 8th. And Molina gunning down Utley in the 6th.
2 of them really with Furcal and then Punto to get that last out. But as you mentioned, John, Ryan Howard will be coming up for the Phillies. third in the bottom of the ninth inning. Yadier Molina, 1 for 3 with a single and a stolen base, starts against Ryan Madsen, who appeared in the first 3 games of the series, got the final 2 outs with a pair of strikeouts in game 1, and pitched a scoreless ninth with 2 strikeouts to keep the game at 5-4, eventually won by the Cardinals in the second game, and had a 5-out save in game 3.
Talked to Charlie Manuel before the game about Ryan Madsen, who has been shuttled back and forth from a starter to a reliever, long man, occasionally gets a shot as being a closer. He said he has established himself as a closer now. Can throw that changeup on any count.
Converted 32 of 35 save opportunities in the regular year. 2-1 pitch, and can't find him. Ryan Madsen can't find it, but a great recovery by Carlos Ruiz to throw out Molina. Molina would respect that. And there's one gone in the Cardinal ninth.
How about the hustle by Ruiz? We saw it on the bunt play. It didn't come into play, but here off the leg of Madsen, Ruiz with the hustle and finds it, fires it on the run.
And then out, 1, 2, 3.
That's how it's been for most of the hitters tonight. Right. 1, 2, 3, go sit down.
Well, here's Daniel Descalso, who came in to run for David Freese in the 7th inning and brought in for defensive purposes. This is his first at bat of the game. One ball and 1 strike. Roy Halladay working 8 innings, giving up a run on 6 hits, striking out 7, 1 intentional pass. And the Cardinals getting that 1 run in the first inning. 1 and 2 now to Descalso.
Well, because St. Louis has been through this the last 20 or 30 games, I'm sure their heartbeat's right where it has been all 30 games. Like, this might be their comfort zone.
Down low, and they're looking to make a happy trip, perhaps, to Milwaukee. And that's what they would do, and they would leave tonight if they can hold their lead against the Phillies. It'll be Utley, Pence, and Howard, scheduled hitters in the bottom of the ninth. And Descalso goes down for out number 2.
Even with all the hustle by Ruiz. Well, here's the play by Punto. My apologies. Great play at first base, and he does get him just by an eyelash. Punto has been a big part of this entire game, hasn't he? Slap tags, line drives caught, ground ball plays made.
And this for a player that had appeared just twice as a pinch hitter coming into this one. But Tony La Russa, aware of his pedigree coming into postseason with the Twins twice. Nick Punto with the count 1-0 as one of the 6 hits for the Cardinals. Chris Carpenter would be next, and he's on deck. Nothing going on in the Cardinal bullpen. Fastball, 1-1. Cardinals with a first inning run on a triple by Furcal. Skip Schumacher's double, 1-0. And that has been the only scoring in the game. 1 and 2 now to Punto.
Well, we talked about use that crowd to your advantage if you're a visiting pitcher, and what Carpenter's been able to do is get the leadoff guy out. The Cardinals have made all the big plays. St. Louis had their opportunity in the first inning. They've taken advantage of it. Now they got to sweat out possibly one more inning with a one-run lead.
It's a foul ball. So the count will remain 1 ball and 2 strikes. And this game, a lot of times, games don't turn out to be as advertised with a classic matchup of pitchers, but we have had it tonight.
Sometimes it's the subtle lineup changes that managers make. Last night for the Detroit Tigers, Don Kelly in the game, he homers. Tonight, Punto with his great defensive plays. Schumacher in center field for the 2nd time this year with a start. He drives in the run.
1-2 pitch. And Punto strikes out. Madsen strikes out 2. And now the Phillies, with all their success, have one more at bat. 1-0, and the Phillies coming up in the bottom of the 9th inning, needing a run in the 5th and deciding game against the wild card Cardinals. Arthur Rhodes, the left-hander, and Jason Mott, who's been the closer, throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. Chase Utley leading off against Chris Carpenter. Utley, the only Philly hitter to reach leading off an inning when he was hit by a pitch in the 4th inning. First pitch, drive hit to center field. John Jay is back and makes the catch on the base of the wall for out number 1.
Utley, first pitch fastball by Carpenter, trying to sneak one past him. Little sinker down in the zone. The only reason that ball stayed in the ballpark, a bullet to center field. Nice play by John Jay.
So Utley exhibiting some of that power that he had in previous years, and now Hunter Pence is coming up 0 for 3 with Ryan Howard on deck. 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Fouls off the first pitch, in on the 5th. Ground ball to Descalso at 3rd. 2 gone in the bottom of the 9th inning. And fittingly, the Phillies, who are down to their last out, will have Ryan Howard coming up, who is 0 for his last 14, facing Chris Carpenter with the season on the line.
Well, I tell you, competition can bring about strange bedfellows. A sweep of the Phillies, of the Atlanta Braves, the last 3 games of the season ensured the Cardinals would make it as the wild card and face the Phillies.
Cardinals won 23 of their last 32 games, were 10.5 behind the Braves on the 25th of August. And the first pitch to Howard, ball 1.
He's going to have to show some kind of patience. I know this is 2 outs. Carpenter is going to go after him, but he's going to go after him trying to get him to swing out of the zone.
One and one now to Howard. This crowd of 46,530 on their feet. Fouled at the plate, and now the Phillies down to their last strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ryan Howard, 2 out here in the 9th inning. Cardinals getting their run in the 1st inning, and it has held up since.
Well, he's had that curveball all night. He's gone in for effect. Does he throw that curveball, try to bounce it down by the foot of Howard and get the strikeout to end the game?
2-2.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doubles up. He did not make a good pitch there. This is not a guy bothered by the tension of finishing a game. This guy's been there before, Carpenter. Look for him to make the adjustment right here.
Ground ball to the right side. Punto has it. And running over, and the Cardinals have done it. The St. Louis Cardinals, improbable in making the playoffs. And Ryan Howard is down. He is hurt halfway between home and first base. So Howard is hurt, and the Cardinals are celebrating out around first base. Chris Carpenter with a brilliant pitching performance, but a concern for Ryan Howard here.
As soon as they came out of the box, I don't know whether he turned his ankle or if it's an Achilles problem, but no chance he could make it down to first base as the Cardinals celebrated.
A discouraging finish to the Phillies season. They put this team together to go to the World Series. Howard is hurt, but what about the St. Louis Cardinals? A never-say-die team, John Smoltz, who were seemingly out of the wild card. They were 8.5 back in September to the Braves, and they win this series in a decisive 5th game on the road.
Well, it's unbelievable. It just goes to show you when you play the season to the final out, you never know what's going to happen. You look at the highlight right here, and this is what this manager was trying to put his team in position for. Game 5, Carpenter on his back. A memorable game for the St. Louis Cardinals and a memorable moment for Chris Carpenter.
And for the first time since 2006, the Cardinals find themselves in the National League Championship Series. Chris Carpenter, on full rest, comes back and pitches a 3-hit shutout to beat the Phillies on the road in a huge matchup with 2 pitching greats. But the Cardinals prevail 1-0.
And disappointment for Ryan Madson and the rest of the Philadelphia Phillies. Sheer joy for the Cardinals. Chris Carpenter. Happy flight, indeed.
Yes, on their way to Milwaukee for the National League Championship Series, and a real odd scene here in Philadelphia where the visiting Cardinals are celebrating. The crowd is stunned, and their star Ryan Howard injured getting out of the batter's box and down between first and home plate. Let's go down to Craig Sager, who's with Chris Carpenter.
Well, Chris, you won a Cy Young. You won a World Series. But in this deciding game for both teams, have you ever pitched a better game?
I don't know. It was some kind of fun. You know, we get out there and was able to get that one run early off Doc. He was dominant the rest of the game. I got out of a couple jams with some great defensive plays, but what an awesome night. I mean, unbelievable.
It was 1-0 in the 5th inning, and John Smoltz said that one run may hold up. Did you think it would?
I was just doing the best I could, keep getting head and counts, and let my guys catch the ball behind me. These guys were aggressive tonight, but I was able to keep the ball down. Like I said, some guys made some great plays behind me, and the rest is what you saw.
It was a great pitching performance, great defensive performance. But what was the biggest pitch you threw tonight?
The last one right there to get the out. No question about it.
You went against your good friend, Roy Halladay. Everybody talked about this matchup. Your manager was hoping for it after game 2. But what was it like for you?
It was another game, you know, obviously with all the hype leading up to it. He's a great friend of mine. Like I said, he did a great job tonight also. He battled and dominated pretty much the whole game except for that first inning where we snuck one in on him. But it was a lot of fun.
After all this team has been through, down 10.5 games to the Braves in the wild card back in August 26th, did you find comfort in the fact that you've been in so many tough situations down the stretch in tonight's game?
I think guys were just relaxed and having fun. We put ourselves in a position where everybody was expecting us to have no chance, and we just started playing like the team we knew we were, and we were fortunate to get some help back into it with Atlanta losing, and we've been playing well the rest of that month.
You mentioned all those great defensive plays. One of them was by you when you kicked the ball in that 8th inning. Did your leg all right?
I hit it with my glove. And then Nick made an unbelievable play coming in on it. Fuki made some great plays. Guys running balls down the outfield was great all night.
It certainly was. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you, Doc.
All right, and Chris Carpenter sounds like a hockey player from New England, which is exactly what he was. And there's the celebrating in the clubhouse of the Cardinals. And right now, let's get back to Craig Sager.
Tony, you kept telling us all week you wanted this matchup between Carpenter and Roy Halladay here for the deciding game. It's what you wanted. But what was it like for you in the dugout?
Well, to be honest, I wanted us to win 2 in St. Louis. I'm just saying, as a fan, we were blessed to have these 2 guys who are great pitchers and to have the background they had. I mean, I take my hat off to Roy Halladay with the jam in the first and then again the 7th, 8th, whatever it was, to get 1 run at all. When anybody else would have gotten 3 or 4. But Carp was great today as well.
You've won World Series games before. You're one of the winningest managers in history, but this team seems to be so different. Down 10.5 games in August to raise the wild card. What makes this team so special?
Well, I just think, first of all, the character on the team. We have a bunch of really high character types. I'm not talking about funny characters. I'm talking about guts and heart. And we got tested early with Adam Wainwright and right through the first 4 months. And our club was just, hey, look, nothing's going to beat us from competing. If we're not good enough, we're not good enough. And I think that's what's special about this team. Got great guts, great heart.
You're a great animal lover. Are we going to see the rally squirrel in the next round?
Well, as long as that Miss Squirrely keeps dating Craig's Mr. Torty, I just think we should get a sweep because we don't want him to invite to interrupt the game. The problem is that Craig hadn't been playing. I think the squirrel was looking around for Torty because Torty was looking around for Craig. I don't know. That's nonsense.
It's all nuts. Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Back up to you, Dick.
All right, and you can have nonsense spoken when you have won a series like this, 1-0. And let's take a look at the decisive 1-0 games in postseason history. Of course, 62 when the Yankees beat the Giants, 91 when the Twins beat the Braves. We'll move over that in a hurry. And of course tonight, the Cardinals beating the Phillies. And of course the only previous meeting between St. Louis and Milwaukee, the 1982 World Series. So the final score once again, the Cardinals won, the Phillies nothing, and the Cardinals have won this NLDS Series 3-2.